Hello everybody, this is Danny from Deep South Homestead. I've had some requests on one of my channels there about the cane stripper that we have here. Some interest in them and wanting me to put up some diagrams about how to make one. So that's what we're going to do in this video. I'm going to take y'all along and show you how I make one of these. This is the one I've used here I've had this one for probably 30 years or more. First thing I do, I take a sheet of 18 gauge metal and I cut out these two pieces here that goes on the end up here. That's these two pieces right here. Now this is 18 gauge galvanized metal. It goes right here. You could use 16 gauge, it's just a little heavy to fool with. It's a little hard to cut. I cut these out. I have a template that I use here. Okay, this is the template that I use to make these out of here, that I draw them out with. This template is a hard vinyl plastic template. As long as you keep it out of the sun, it would last the rest of your life, I suppose. But these will be for sale on Etsy for $5. If you are interested in making one of these strippers, I'll put these up on there and have them. Where you can actually purchase. Got the holes pre-marked in it, so I pre-marked my holes. All of them are drilled here to match what's on this here. These are cut out, and I'm going to take a grinder and dress the edges up on them here in a little while. Get this just like I want it. Then I'll show you the next phase from that point. Alright, this is the handle. The handle is 1.5 inches wide by 1 inch thick. Now here at Deep South Homestead, I had an old rough cut pine board that come out of an old house that was exactly 1 inch thick, so I took the table saw and ripped it down to 1.5 inches wide. On these handles, I use the draw knife to work with because to me it's just so much easier to work with. You know what I mean? And I take the draw knife because I can work it kind of a little bit at a time. And I can work these handles down because you want them a little bit to be like oblong shaped. And that's basically, I cut mine down. Now if you want to use hardwood or if you got a piece of oak or something like that, it's basically up to you. Here at Deep South Homestead, I had this pine board and I just decided to use it. And the thing about it is, you want to make this thing where it's comfortable to you as an individual. You want to make it to the shape that fits your hands. And here I have found that the oblong shape seems to fit my hand better because I have a bigger hand. Now somebody with smaller hands might want a round one. And I don't guess it really matters unless up here on the very end where you're going to be fastening the stripper part to. It does need to be the 1.5 inches by 1 inch wide in order to fit the metal strippers onto it and make a good fit on it. It doesn't need to be round there. But the draw knife is a tool of choice for me as I do it because this thing is sharp like a razor blade and it just makes it so easy for me to take wood off of these. I can take it off in a small amount at a time. I don't have to do a bunch of grinding and all that. Now when I get through, I will use this sander right here to make sure it's really smooth because the last thing you want on a handle is a rough edge because a rough edge will cause you to have blisters on your hand. This handle here is 3 feet long. To me, 36 inches is a comfortable length for me. If you want to make it longer, that's completely up to you. 36 inches works really good for me and I'll show you why. Because when I'm reaching up, I mean, the cane is not going to be taller than that for me. And then when I'm coming all the way down to the bottom, I'm at the bottom and I don't have much back bending in this. So it works really well for me. And then like we showed in the video, so I'll give you a demonstration and show you how that it works. Okay, what we want to do, you take this thing, you start at the top of the cane and you push it down. It strips it off. you can take these strippers, and because it has these points made on it here, you can reach down to your cane and you can pull the fodder away from the bottom of the stalk and move it out of the way from it, so that if you, when you get ready to cut it, you don't have fodder piled all around the bottom of your cane. You can cut it real easy, whether you're using loppers or a machete or a weed eater with a blade on it, whatever you choose to use. Use the points on this to reach and grab the shucks and pull them out. And the thing that was really nice about this is Wanda could use it real easy. It's not a tool that's hard to use. It really works easy. The only drawback to using a stripper is if you're saving any of your cane to plant, you can't use a stripper on it, because if you do, it will actually cut the eyes off of it when you go down the cane, and it ruins it for being able to plant. I want to show y'all why I told you can't use this and keep your cane for planting. If we can get in here close, I'll show you. As you come down the cane, right here, this is an eye right here. We have just destroyed that eye when we hit it. We cut it off. As you come down, here's another one right here. When we hit it like that, it destroys those eyes. That's where your cane comes from. Now there's one there that hasn't been destroyed. Those eyes, roots come out around them and form a new sugarcane stalk when you put this in the ground. That's why you can't use this tool. Here's another example right here. We cut this eye completely off. So whatever you're going to choose to plant, section that part off. Don't use a stripper on it, and only use a stripper on the part that you're going to use to put in the syrup, to make syrup out of, I guess I should say. But I'm going to finish up here a little bit, and I'm going to take y'all to the next phase. Okay, we're out here working on our next phase of our cane stripper. I've got my pieces of metal cut. We need to take the grinder and kind of go around and smooth the edges up on it a little bit so that it won't be so sharp and jagged on the edges. What I do is I lay this thing down on here, and I take my black marker. I kind of line it up on the metal, and I put my marks from this template where they go at here. Once I get that done, then I have my marks on my piece of metal here where I need to be drilling it at. Okay, I've drilled one of my pieces to my cane stripper already. In order to make sure I get both of them exact, I'm going to lay this one over the top of this one and drill through it to make sure I get them in the exact same locations. Alright, when you're making a cane stripper, one of the things you want to always remember is just like a car. You have a left side of the car and a right side, a left car door, a right car door. Well, when you're making a cane stripper, you have a left side and you have a right side. And that's important because of the way you have to do some bending on it here. And I always do mine outside like that. I put the R and the L. The R and the L will be on the inside so that when you get through making it, the marking will be on the inside of it. Now the reason I do that is I put this in a vise. And before I want to tell you, there's a mark right here on these. It's 3 inches up from the end here. That's what you have to bend. We're not looking for a lot of bend in it, just a slight bend. I take my small ball peen hammer, and I see my mark is right there at my finger, and all I do is I take my ball peen hammer and I'll tap that over a little bit. Let me bring it up just a little bit more. I didn't quite tighten it down tight enough. There's a reason we do this. That's because the piece of wood that we're using as a handle has a slight curve to it. And I do this so that when I put it on the wood, it will actually fit the shape of the wood. Now I'll flip it over and stick it back in the vise. Not gonna hurt if you go a little bit more than what you need to. Alright, I'll show you what it looks like now that we've bent this U shape in it here. What you want to do is you want to take your stock that you're going to be using, come up to your mark, and you want to put it on it, roll it over. Kind of make sure that it fits the shape of the handle. Now everybody will make their handle a little bit different shape, so you'll have to bend it to actually match your handle, and that's what I've done here. I've bent this one to actually match the contour of the handle. Okay, this is the left hand side. We're going to go ahead and get it bent. Remember, going up to our mark here. That's our 3-inch mark. Alright, now that we have the left hand and the right hand sides bent with the proper angles on this, we're going to take this on our mark right here. We're going to put that right on the end of our handle here. We'll hold it in place. We're going to take our felt tip pen and we're going to put us a mark there and put us a mark there. Then we're going to take this over to the drill press and we're going to drill our hole. Let me mention on the templates that we'll be selling, we have our degrees marked on this here. This bend here is a 25-degree bend. That's marked on both sides of the template because this can be used for left hand or right hand side. We also have the 3-inch mark here marked at the bottom with the dotted line that'll show where you actually cup it. You'll have it, of course remember you have a left hand and a right hand. So on our pieces that we have here, we have our degree angle marked here. What we'll do is take these to the vise and we're going to line our angle mark up. Remember now, this bends away from this bend here. You just always have to keep in your mind left-handed and right-handed. Left door, right door. Now, it doesn't have to be much of a bend. It's not much of a bend at all. It's only about a 5-degree bend. It's not much at all. Okay, remember you got one bent. Now we're going to bend the other one. Remember, these are outside bends. If you've ever done any kind of air conditioned sheet metal work, it shouldn't be a problem. What happens is when you put these two together on the stick, you end up with this right here, where you've got that Y look to it like that. Because my vise has a bend in it here, and I put a piece of pipe in here and did it with a piece of pipe, but for the video's sake, I'm just going to use my vise. Now remember the direction you have this bent out in, away from your handle. We're going to bend this back end to where it lines back up with this here. And what I'll do is because you want it to be round like sugar cane, because sugar cane's round, I will bend mine to where it kind of looks a little bit like this right here. Remember, you have a left hand and a right hand. And really this is really just an art of feel, because what you're looking for is when you get through with it, you want it to be like this right here on the top once it goes together. Now, what I'm going to do next is these points here. We're going to take these points and we're going to actually stick those points back in, and we're going to flare them out just a little bit. I know this may look a little bit weird, but it's just part of the process. I don't know that there's actually any real good way to show this. And the reason you bend those out, let me get it like this maybe. The reason you bend those out is you want that look right there. You want that look, you want these points right here to be bent outward so that when you hit the sugar cane, this stuff doesn't hang up on anything. And you've got this area right in here. Now I could actually bend it a little bit more. Now that's going to depend on what size cane that you grow. If you grow cane that's real large in diameter, you're going to want these to be like a lot wider apart. If your cane is smaller in diameter, you're going to want to bring it in like this right here. So it's going to all depend on what size cane you grow. As to this hole right here in the side here, the distance and the length of the pin that we put in that. Okay, we're ready. We just took a standard little screw. You can get them at any hardware store, any Walmart or whatever. Now these is a little bit too long. We're going to have to cut them off once we get them in there, because I just wasn't going to town to buy these screws. I had some already here. We're going to stick it through. We're going to try to get them lined up. Make sure we get them in there good, as you can see. Then we take our one from the other side. We're fastening it down on there. And I always like to put a lock washer on my stuff. I seem to have better luck. You don't have to worry about them coming loose as often as when you're using it. Put your nut on it. Put your nut on this side. Then all you want to do is just tighten these down, and then we're going to take a hacksaw and cut them off. Alright, we got our last screw that's going to go in here. It goes in this side right here. Put our nut on it. Run it down. Just going to take a pair of channel locks here right quick to tighten that down with. What this is for, this is to adjust and pull this in. The more you tighten this, the more this is going to come in here, depending on the size cane that you have now. The next phase we'll be doing is building a little twist piece to go in this end out here. All right, what I have here, this is a piece of old galvanized fencing that I cut off. I use galvanized because it won't rust. What you want to do is take your tape measure. You want to mark you a piece of that 2 1/4 inches. Now I'll take a pair of wire cutters where I marked the 2 1/4 inches at, and I just cut it off. Now, depending on whether or not you can hold this in your hand or not, I'm going to do mine in the vise, because to make that first bend, it's just a lot easier for me. I'm going to stick maybe 3/8 of an inch of it down in the vise. It just makes it a little bit easier because this wire is really kind of super stiff. Now I'm going to bend that L in it like that so that I can take my regular lineman pliers. Now you can see how I've got this hook bent in the end of it there. That's kind of what you're after. Now you might want to bend this part in just a little bit more, and I think we will, to that kind of help keep it from, be real careful with it there. There we go. I'm going to bend it in just a little bit more like that. The next step you're going to want to do is you're going to want to push this thing through here, kind of like so. And I'm going to do something that's just a little bit, make it a little bit easier on you. If you've got a pair of vice grips, that'll make this just a little bit easier to do. Just get right there where your bend's at. Get these vice grips adjusted a little bit where they won't be too tight. But okay, that kind of holds that right there. Now what you want to do, you want to turn this over, catch this. About, I'll tell you what you're after. Let me go ahead and mention this. What you're after is this distance between these bends. You want them to be just about 1 1/4 inches. That's what you're actually after, 1 1/4 inches to 1 1/2 inches, somewhere in that area, depending on the size cane that you have in diameter. Now what I'm going to do is take this here, because I know the size cane that I have here. I'm going to bend this. You got to understand, this is some really stiff wire, so it may take me just a second to get this bent. I like using this good heavy stiff wire because I don't have to worry about it coming undone on me when I get through with it. And this is a finger pincher here, so you have to kind of alright, that's what we've got. Get these vice grips off of it. Now what I'll do is I'll come back and make some minor adjustments to this. As you can look at it from up above here, what I'll do is these points out here, I'll come here now with my pliers and I'll make some little minor adjustments on it with my lineman pliers, because this, I'll kind of bend it, because you don't want that to be, you want it bent out just a little bit like that. That kind of makes it where it doesn't hang up on your cane as well. And that's what the end of it looks like. This here is made, it'll go in and out. Now this part right here, you can make this rounder, wider, whatever you do for the size cane that you have there. It's just that for our cane here, this is the size that we use. Alright, this is our finished cane stripper that we have built here for stripping sugar cane. I hope y'all have enjoyed this video. Thank you from Deep South Homestead.